So coming to the agenda, our objectives of discussion: area classifications and their scope, area class and their application onto the process areas, BMS EMS controls onto the critical process parameters, related subjects and guidelines, and the conclusion for the discussion. So this will be the agenda of our complete video. And to start with the objectives, in pharmaceutical industry, classification of process area is very crucial to ensure the safety and quality of the pharmaceutical products what it is produced in the area. This classification is based on the level of environmental control required to minimize the risk of contamination of airborne particles and microorganisms. The primary objective of pharmaceutical process area classification is to establish controlled environments that meet specific requirements of manufacturing process. This classification helps to minimize the risk of product contamination, maintain product quality, ensure patient safety. This is a typical layout of a production area of a pharmaceutical facility. Onto a controlled building, when we go from external atmospheric area, directly there will be a controlled condition area, may not be classified, it will be a controlled temperature environment area to protect from the external atmosphere. Then it goes onto one more classified area, and the core process areas. Either it is main entries or material entry exits. So with this buffer zones, core area is always protected. When we say area classifications, there are standards like ISO 14644, where it is specifically told how many classes are there of which all micron size particle in a 1 cubic meter area, how many particles should be there of which size of particle to comply what class. To compare ISO class with GMP and federal standard comparison, if we say grade A in GMP language, ISO class 5 can be comparable. At the same time, federal standard class 100 can be comparable. The scope of area classification in a pharmaceutical industry is very broad and deep. It involves, there are 4 kind of categories. So if we go on to identifying and segregating the areas, this is basically to define which part of the facility requires stringent environmental controls, like core process areas, where the stringent control is required. So that is why in a process, it needs to identify which part of the building is the core area and stringent environmental controls are required. So this is the first thing which goes onto the scope of area classification. Then when we discuss onto the qualification and requalification requirements, this involves starting from the user requirement specification generation to the design qualification space, then installation qualification, then operational qualification, then performance qualification. And these all qualification should support the requalification of those areas in a periodic basis. Then integrating technical systems like designing of HVAC and other engineering solutions to meet the precise environmental control requirements. That also should be taken into the scope area classification, so that the area classification by design it can be maintained for a safe, problem-free process operation. Then ensuring overall product safety. This is to sustain the regulatory compliance and continuously quality improvement. This meticulous approach ensures that all aspects of facility design and operation do support the ultimate goal of delivering safe pharmaceutical products while adhering to the stringent global and local regulation body requirements. And how the area class do apply onto the process area and their applications. So all pharmaceutical facilities are controlled facilities to protect from the atmospheric contaminations. Majorly the contamination control, if we say, there are 4-5 grades of areas which are involved. One is CNC area, what we have discussed, the controlled but not classified area, then grade D, C, B and A. Generally, in CNC areas, raw materials are stored, packing materials are stored, finished goods are stored, and external corridors are for the movement is maintained with CNC areas. The oral solid dosage productions, oral liquid dosage productions are generally taken place in grade D environment. Grade C and grade B are generally sealing to support a grade A condition, and the main specific objective of grade A is the space where the sterile injectable products are manufactured and packed, or you can say sealed. As we have discussed previously, from external atmosphere, when we go on to a CNC area, classified but not controlled, then we need to have a barrier of one classified area, then another classified area, then another classified area. So area class and applications. In a pharmaceutical manufacturing process, areas are segmented and classified mainly to control the contamination of products and to ensure their product quality. The main segregation happens is onto their clean area grades and their rationals, then process application segregation and regulatory and design considerations. So these areas are controlled by BMS and EMS controls for all these critical process parameters. In pharmaceutical HVAC system, this BMS and EMS play a crucial role for maintaining the CPPs, the critical process parameters. So BMS controls the functionality so that the temperature, humidity, airflow, pressure differentials, everything is maintained onto a hardware level. These BMS do have automation which gives a real-time feedback from the area so that the controls can happen onto a real-time basis. While doing this automation on a real-time basis, BMS ensure that these operations are made energy efficient so that the wastage of energy can be saved. EMS is a monitoring software where it continuously monitors the critical parameters which is maintained by BMS, but EMS takes the real-time data from the core process area for all CPPs like temperature, RH and differential pressure and everything. It do have a data logging process so that these all data are logged onto a real-time basis so that it can be produced for an audit and compliance requirement as and when required. These EMS system also generate alarms and alerts on deviation of any controlled parameters like temperature, RH, DP, what we have already discussed. So together BMS and EMS do create a robust system where BMS control the environment and EMS verifies that controlled conditions, whether it is maintained or not. If it is not maintained, it creates an alarm and creates an alert. And this integration ensures both operational efficiency as well as energy efficiency. So there are many guidelines which do support for maintaining all these parameters, like EU GMP guideline from European Medicinal Agency, and ISO for ISO 14644, and ASRES for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and local regulatory guidelines for each country and their areas. And to support the ISP good practice guidelines is also available. So the conclusion is, along with area classification, there are several other parameters which has to be maintained onto a real-time basis, onto a requalification level basis, so that the product safety and quality can be maintained. Those parameters are like temperature, humidity, differential pressure, which are continuously monitored onto a real-time basis, and other parameters like air changes per hour, airflow pattern, particle count, microbial count, and HEPA integrity, recovery test. This has to comply to the requirement onto a periodic qualification basis. So this is from Pharmatech info regarding area classification. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you guys. Have a good day.